Object-oriented programming system in C++. Object-oriented programming system (OOPS) in C++ is a programming model that organizes software designs around objects rather than functions and logic. So the C++ supports the four fundamental concepts of object-oriented programming, which are abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. So, before considering what they mean, first consider what is an object. An object is a thing from the real world. It could be a car, a boat, or a book, but it might not be something physical that you can touch. In C++, an object is an instance of a class, which is a user-defined data type that encapsulates both data and functions to model real-world entities. Object is also known as entities. So this list leads us to the first fundamental concept of object-oriented programming, namely the abstraction. Abstraction means to simplify reality. So abstraction is the concept of hiding the complex implementation details of a system, exposing only the essential features or functionality to the user. For example, a person, which is an object, but if you were designing a new application to process data about a person, it's unlikely that you would be interested in everything there is to know about a person. Rather, you would only concern yourself with the data that you are relevant and tasks that you want to perform with those data. Now, the key aspects of abstraction, first is the hiding complexity, and second is the providing a clear interface. So, in hiding complexity, the abstraction helps in simplifying complex systems by hiding the internal working and showing only what is necessary. This allows the programmer to interact with a simplified version of the system. Second is the providing a clear interface. Instead of dealing with how a task is performed internally, abstraction focuses on what needs to be done. It provides an interface for interacting with an object without needing to understand what its inner implementation is. So, next, the second fundamental concept of object oriented program is encapsulation, which means hiding data and complexity. Encapsulation is one of the core principles of object oriented programming, and it refers to the concept of bundling the data or the attributes and the methods, which means the function that operates on that data, into a single unit or a class. So, what is a class? To create object programmatically, you can need a class. A class is a blueprint or prototype for creating objects. It defines the properties, the data members and behaviors, member functions that objects create from the class will have. The key concepts of encapsulation, first is the data bundling and methods, and second is the access control. Data encapsulation helps in data and methods into a single unit, which is a class, making the object self-contained and easier to manage. Second is the access control. Encapsulation also enforces data hiding, which means some internal data and methods of a class are made private and are not accessible from outside the class. This is done to prevent unauthorized or unintended access and modification. Access to these private members is controlled through public methods like getData function, like the usage of getData function. The concepts of encapsulation and abstraction can be further understood by doing an example. So here it's given: define a class student with private attributes for name, roll number, mark. Write methods for reading and displaying the student details. So it's given in slash star, so it's not executed. Here is said that a class should be defined as student, and with private attributes should be given for name, roll number, and mark. And there should be method for reading and displaying the student details. First, we need to include the C++ libraries, which is hash include iostream.h, which is input output stream.header, and conio.h, which is console input output.header. Then we are going to put our classes. We are going to create our class having the name student. Then we are going to set the attributes which are private: character name, name having characters up to 20, and then using the data type integer, roll number, int roll number, then using float mark. Then we are going to put the things which are public, void get data, which will accept data from the user, and display, which will display all the details. Now using student get data, void student get data, we are going to call the function from the main class. So here's the details we need to input are given. Enter the name of the student, C in S name, then enter roll number, enter mark. Then using void student display, we are going to display all these details by calling them here as student name, student details, student name, student roll number, student mark. Then so the void display is over. So now we are going to call from the main class by creating an object of the class student like S1, and we are going to get the details. So S1 dot get data and S1 dot display, and we are going to compile this using alt F9. There's no error, and we run this using control F9, which will show us what we need to input, like enter student details, enter name of the student. Now enter roll number, enter mark. So it's the outputs are given as student name. It's displayed student name, student roll number, and student mark.